Everybody, welcome back to the channel. So really exciting because I have Lumi here today. Lumi, go ahead and give a hello.
Hello.
So Lumi is hands down one of the best when it's in the game. You're the most underknown talent when it comes to Apex Legends, in my opinion. He's extremely talented. He's funny. He's got an amazing scream and laugh. But also to hype this man up even further is that he has some of the highest damage in game, like on the stats and leaderboard. It's out of this world. So I know you're probably blushing because I'm overhyping you, but I don't think I am. I think we need to hype you up more. So which is the point? And when we're going to discuss, you're going to see gameplay in the background from Lumi of all the amazing damage he's done. He's hit high records. It's insane. And we're going to hear 5 tips from him. So let's go through these tips. So tip number 1, and also really a question. I really want to understand what makes your playstyle so different from others.
I don't know. I feel like my playstyle, it revolves around just like trying to make sure that I'm like spaced out from teams. I don't take too many 50-50 fights, if that makes sense. Like I kind of like, I know I could, because I'm mechanically skilled enough to do so, but like when I'm like solo queuing for like a gameplay, like I try to like play a little far back, like play passive aggressive, and like the only times I'll really like push is if a team is like, and I know I have to, or if that's like the only option. I feel like 50-50s are like I said, they're just like, I'd rather play it slow, and also I can get more damage off of that. I think that's like one of the reasons why I get so much damage in games is because of my playstyle. Yeah, there's been times like I've seen teams but like be really bad and I could just push up and kill them instantly, but like I just get like a little bit more damage by playing it like 100% safe and just sitting on my position and not really giving it up unless like the best possible decision is doing that, you know.
I love that. You know, I feel like every casual is going to relate more to this now because everyone sees like, oh, you got to push, you got to play aggressive, you got to play aggressive. But I think that speaks volumes because every one of your games is high damage, but also you get more eliminations. So you're really teaching everyone out there that it's not about just rushing everything, right? It's not necessarily about just saying, oh, you got to keep going, but also making informed decisions. What would you say is probably, this is an extra one on top of it because it makes me curious just asking you these questions. What would you say is like the best positioning that you can play if you were to have an ideal scenario?
Like you just want to play back. You just want to play like, you don't want to have like them being able to get in your face, because I like the most unwinnable position in Apex is having 3 people in like really close to you. Like you're not going to win that most of the time. So like being back in this, making sure you keep distance from them, but also doing enough damage to make sure they don't just push you immediately is also very important, because like a team, if you're not doing damage to them and you're far from them, they're going to push up, and it's going to turn into that situation where 3 people are really close to you in your face and you're going to die. So you want to keep making sure you're doing damage to them to like make sure, like, okay, we're not going to like push this guy because we know he's skilled at the game. So
that's a great segue here, because I think it goes to our next tip. What helps you even get high damage? Because you're talking about the pressure. What helps you learn to say, okay, what do I need to do to get high damage?
I just play back, and I sometimes I just let teams heal. Like if I know a push isn't optimal, like for me, I'm just gonna like let them heal up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, if I can tell a team by looking at them isn't like very aggressive and they're going to be a team that just sits back and shoots at me, I'm not gonna push them. I'm just gonna let them, you know, heal a little bit. I'm gonna like, you know, poke at them a lot, especially in later game. You know, mid game it helps a lot too. But,
what would you say is the optimal time? Because I really want to highlight this because you talk about the right moment and patience. What would you say is the optimal time when you're doing damage and you're dealing it out, right?
I'd say like the middle game is like, I feel like that, and like mid and end game especially is like where you're gonna get the most damage.
Yeah.
Because like end game, it's mainly like a couple of teams. You have like you have your guns, you have your heals. You kind of can just like sit back and poke and not have to worry about a lot of other things. Mid game is more so about like you're trying to like, you know, set the rest of the pace for the game and make sure you're like getting the filler damage, if that makes sense. Like just getting the like all the damage in between the end game. It goes in order from least important to most important. Mid game, beginning of the game, and then end game. Because like beginning of the game, it kind of like it sets the pace, but it's not like it's not where you farm the most. But like end game is where you like you really you have to like realize, you have to like lock in, I guess. Because if you have a team that is like you're able to like farm off of, you have to like lock in, like stay super efficient.
Would you say you're waiting for opponents to isolate themselves so that you know when to push and when you're looking for mistakes?
Yes. Capitalizing off of mistakes is something I think everyone everyone should learn how to do. Because yeah, like sometimes you can just win by being the better player, but sometimes you can beat a team that is filled with good players just by waiting for them to make individual mistakes. And you push up off of that. If you do that over and over, isolating your 1v1s and making sure that you can win against a really good team.
Let's say a really good team, because now I'm learning a lot. I know we have the 5 tips, but I feel like I'm like kind of in the weeds here with you. When we look for the mistakes, is it somebody just overextended, not using cover that you're looking for? Because let's say like we have 3 people like the Avengers holding hands. What can you do to get the Avengers to stop holding hands? What are some advice that you get them to stop? Do you just run away and just hopefully maybe one runs at you, or what do you do?
Yeah, so actually that is something that I do. Is making teams impatient is something that works surprisingly well. And that like goes back into me like playing very passive aggressive. Like if a team pushes up and I know that they're going to be like really aggressive, and a team I can't win a fight against in like a close combat, and they're all close to me, I will keep backing up and like repositioning up until they get really impatient and they make a mistake. Because they'll get impatient and they'll run at you or do something dumb because they just want that kill. Because Apex players are very kill hungry, so they'll make a dumb mistake and you'll get it down. You'll be able to finish the down and make it more, promising fight on your end, and maybe even get 2 if you're lucky.
It's like an ego thing. People can't set aside their egos in the game, and so they just have to keep pushing or fighting. And I feel like on Reddit, people get upset about this and they say, "Oh, they keep pushing me." It's like, but that's what we're teaching here. That's how you can capitalize on beating them, because people are kill hungry.
Yeah.
Right. Now we talked about making sure you maximize and doing damage. Are there specific loadouts that you go to, especially when you're playing more passive aggressive and baiting opponents out? What do you gravitate towards?
So I use all my loadouts, like they always like have an SMG, like a close range and a long range. My 2 loadouts that like I typically would go to if I could choose would be like a G7 or 30-30 or R3 as my main like long range weapons, because you can just do a lot of damage with them. You can use something like a sniper, but like not a lot of people run sniper ammo unless they're using a wingman, and even then
now that's in the care package, right?
yeah, especially for this season, you wouldn't want to run a sniper. But like you want to have like a long range and a short range, because you want to make sure you're able to poke, but you also want to make sure you're able to like effectively like defend yourself from close range as well. Because if a team pushes you and you have a G7 and R3, you're not going to win that. Yeah, you're screwed. So you want to have like the best of both worlds. Like I'll run a car or an R9 and like a G7 R3 30-30. Like you'll be able to do some serious damage with those loadouts. And like another thing that like not a lot of people know, but like if I'm like really high in a damage game, I don't pick up like a care package weapon. And like I have reasonings for it.
Why? I'm actually curious. Why wouldn't you go for it?
So like if there's a Kraber in the care package, I will not pick it up. Because I will either have to drop my far range weapon and I have to rely on me being really good with the Kraber that day. And if I miss, then I can't do anything from far range, like I can't.
That's interesting.
If I lose all that ammo and I just do nothing with it, I lose my long range and I'm not able to do stuff. So, and unless I'm able to grab my R3 again, but I'm not, most of the time I'm not going to be able to. And if I lose my close range by dropping my R9 for it, then I effectively have no close range unless I just start no scoping everyone with the Kraber, which is all RNG, and I'm not trying to rely on that,
Interesting.
And also for like the other weapons, like if I say like I had like a Prowler, I wouldn't pick it up because like you burn through the ammo so quickly. The only gun I would consider picking up at this point for that's a care package weapon is the Wingman, because how like ammo efficient it is and how much damage it does. Like
it's like having like 3 stacks essentially with the Wingman. They gave you such a good amount technically.
Yeah, but like it's a very like weird thing I do, but like I just don't do it because like every time I've noticed, like every time I've done it, it always leads to me being in this situation that wouldn't have happened if I didn't pick it up.
It's smart because you're just making sure you're efficient. Because let's say you needed to swap and you were waiting for a third party, you would have to go in the box and grab everything you needed, and you're wasting time when you should be running and repositioning, right?
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. I think that the loadout of what you're saying is huge, because most people always say, just grab 2 close range guns, run at everybody. But you're providing something so different, and it's why you remain so consistent. Now, the next thing I want to ask a question about is Horizon is really the big reason for high damage for you. Is that the reason why? Because you really play Horizon a lot, or is it just because you love the legend? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's both. Like, obviously I like Horizon, but like I wouldn't say she's like the main reason. Like I wouldn't say without her I wouldn't be able to do shit. like, you know.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, like, I've done it on every legend in the game besides like the recent ones, because I just can't play pubs that much anymore because of how bad the SBMM is right now. But that's besides the point. But no, Horizon, she's just really good for solo queue. Like, her kit is just really good. Like especially in close range fights, like not a lot of people can track the when you're strafing on the queue. So like you can just, you know, get close. If you aren't able to get it down, or you can just pop a bag, get out. You can also use it for repositioning, all that stuff. Like, it's a very versatile legend that, like, not like obviously a lot of people know about, but like, no, I see a lot of people just use her for like aggressiveness, and yeah, you can do that, but like she's so good for this positioning as well, and playing like passive, and like not a lot of people know that you can use her Q to like get away from people, and like use it as like a wraith Q. You can use it to get on top of people. Like, it's a very, like, I try to like use her as like a like Pathfinder, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, like I use, if, say someone's like behind cover and they're healing, like I'll throw my Q and like jump on them pretty much, and let's like hit my Q for a second, jump on them, like someone would like grapple on you. And if someone like is shooting me and I need to get to cover, I'll just rising Q to it. And also I'll use it to like get to high ground, all that stuff. So like it just creates a lot of opportunities to like play the game differently.
I love that. And it is true, because I've seen you get 4,000 damage in every legend. So just as a reminder, everybody, I want you guys, I'm going to have a link down in the description down below to follow Lumi and his channels. And when you watch his gameplay and you watch the remaining of this video, I want to ask a question. What should everyone look for the most when they're watching your gameplay? That they should be like attention to detail. What should they pay most attention to that you're doing also so differently?
I feel like the speed I do things, like, you want to loot really, like, I think a lot of people don't realize that looting and like rotating are like way more important than like a lot of other things. Because yeah, you can like find all the people, but like if you're looting for a really long time and you're just not rotating fast, you don't have good rotates, then like you're not gonna like get the damage and or all the kills. Like, I go into each game knowing what I want. Like, I don't like, oh, this game I want to do this game I want to do that. Like, if I'm set out for something, I just want to, like, okay, I want R9 R3 with full attachments. I already know what attachments I need, all that stuff. And like every time I enter a death box, I already know I just need heals, ammo, and those attachments. And if I can't find them, I'm out the death box. I'm not sitting there doing anything else. I loot, I leave, and I try to like make sure I'm like rotating around the edge of zones, because people always come in through those spots. I try to look at the drop ships and make sure I know where people are landing, because like you have to like keep in mind, like, yeah, it's all RNG in the end of the day to like get high damage and all that stuff. You can't do it every game, no matter how good you are. It's still, but you can like maximize like your average, your games by learning all of that stuff and making sure like you know where people are landing, where people rotate through, having your own rotates from certain POIs. Like, say I land like estates, like I'll rotate towards like Hammond or something like that. You always have to just make sure like you know your rotates, know where the dropship came in. That helps so much, because like, let's be honest, like if you just walk around randomly around the map, it's not gonna do much. You have to like know where people landed, because if the dropship ended at like Bonsai, you're not gonna rotate towards there.
True.
You want to like rotate to where the hot drops are if you didn't.
This
land
gives
at
me
the
a
hot
thought on a follow-up question. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I feel like everyone might be
good.
having this burning question. So when you talk about hot drops, do you hot drop often, or do you feel like you land near the action and go towards it? What would you recommend, and what works best for you?
So I personally hot drop whenever I can, but like I try to minimize the amount of 50-50 off spawn fights I take. Like, say I hot drop at like estates, I won't land at like the middle building or like any other ones. I'll land on the outside of it, and I'll third party the fights that like are happening at those buildings, because everyone wants to land there.
They're like mini third parties, essentially. You're using micro decisions to mini third party within a POI, rather than thinking third party means you're far away. You're third partying within below a 50-meter radius, essentially.
Yeah, you also want to make sure in the beginning of the game, you want to make sure you're not the center of attention, because that's obviously like when you don't have anything, and you don't want to keep being the center of attention. This is just for the entire game, actually. Just make sure you're not the center of attention, because if there's multiple teams around you and they're all focusing you, it's gonna be very bad. If they're fighting, you want to like sit at the edge of them and kind of like let them do their thing, but also keep doing damage, and just make sure you're getting your kills as well.
Let's close up on these thoughts, because I want to. You said something so important. when it means to be not the center of attention. And I want to highlight that, and maybe as our closing thoughts here, not to cut you off again.
Yeah.
I just, because you're saying such amazing stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a gold mine of information. Is when you say not being in the center of attention, how do you avoid that?
So say two teams are fighting, like they're not fully engaged in the fight, you know, they're far away, you know, but they're still fighting, they're still shooting at each other. You don't want to get into like in between them, because that other team is going to see that and they're going to push up as well, and you're going to get caught in a whole bunch of stuff. You want to wait up until they, you know, you want to make sure they're not focusing you. You never want to be focused, because if you're being focused, then it's like it's really bad and you're just going to die instantly. Say if two teams are fighting, you know, you want to let them, you know, get close, and if they start like really fighting, like shotgun fighting, like, you know, waiting for downs, then that's where you can like really like push up and just like weed yourself into the mix of the people and kind of just clean up if you can. If not, you can just like stay back and obviously like clean up after they all fight and like are rezzing and resetting. But I just like, I never really try to like get myself in the middle of all the action, if that makes sense. Like I get myself in there, but it's not like the middle of it.
It's patience.
It's just,
I think the theme of what you're saying is patience and looking for the right moment, but don't let your ego get in the way. And I really feel like it's so refreshing to hear it come from you. And even with me, I feel like recently I've just been like, I just got to keep going, but also just waiting for the opportunities, because it does make the biggest difference, whether it's in casual play, ranked, or competitive. It's just having that knowledge of knowing when. And I think we learned a lot about when it comes to looking for those small decisions, making sure you're not the center of attention, making sure you back out of the fight when you need to and look for mistakes, right? I feel like that's what I learned from this call as well. And just learning with even as your awesome gameplay in the background. Much longer than I thought it was, but listen, this is a lot of great information, like insane.
Oh, one more thing that you mentioned just there that I like to talk about is like back up, like get out of a fight if you really have to. Don't let your ego go crazy. Like if you don't have ammo, you don't have heals, you're on a good game, just get out, just run, try to find some stuff. Like if it's a good game, you'll turn it into something. Obviously not like some games just are more scuffed than others, but like I feel like you should like it helps a lot focusing on like staying alive, but also making sure you're making good like plays and stuff, getting a lot of kills and damage. But like staying alive is very important, because it can help you learn to just do a whole bunch of other stuff in like situations where you're not obviously needing to, you know, get out. You can just need to learn how to stay alive. So like, if you're just like don't have anything, you need to back up. I would just like full heal as much as you can. You know, make sure you're all good. Don't like force a fight if you don't have to, because it's just not that important.
I've had games where I can relate to this, where half the lobby got eliminated, and then you still drop 4,000 damage just because teams play passive, you find openings, and you find your own way, because there's still so many fights to get through, right? Well, man, I appreciate you for hopping in. This was amazing. There was so many tips, and I guarantee people are gonna love this video, because I was getting more questions than I thought, because I was like, oh my god, man, they're like, I want to learn more, you know? So this is great. Again, reminder, follow Lumi on his socials. He posts on YouTube, he streams as well. Follow him on Twitter. He posts amazing clips. I even saw recently his 1v3 with Horizon when the Avengers jumped on him and what he did to survive that. A little Easter egg there, knowing that I even watch all his stuff as well. So thank you again, man, for coming out. I appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you guys all in the next one. Bye, everybody.